My mother always said that my first three words were "mommy, daddy, drum," and there are pictures of me where I'm carrying drums that were bigger than my body. So I guess I did start playing very young. I do remember studying privately, like when I was in the second grade. I just really wanted to play the drums. I always did. But never thought it would be a career. It was just fun. And I played all through high school. And then when it was time to pick a college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And one of my friends was going to a music college, so I said, well, maybe I'll try that, and we'll see what happens. Never thinking that I would go into education. And I loved the music degree, and it was a Bachelor of Science, which is what was my first degree from the State University of Potsdam, New York. And when I was doing my student teaching, I said, this is really fun. I really like this. So I still was not convinced, and I went back to New York and went right into a master's program at Columbia and was playing professionally in New York at the time. And during that year, the director of music from Potsdam, the state university that I graduated from, came to New York and asked if I'd be interested in coming back to the college as a professor. Of course, if you picture this, a year later, that meant that I'm now teaching and the students were freshmen and sophomores when I was a senior. So it was kind of an interesting few years. But it was really fun, and I taught for 5 years and was writing music at the time, and in the summers would go back to New York and play, and started working on my doctorate. And after the 5th year, I took a year off to finish my doctorate at Columbia. And at that point, circumstances happened that made me never go back. I had received a request from a publisher to write for them. They had seen some of the books I had already written, and it was in Long Island. So while working on my doctorate, I would go out and just fool around. That was Alfred Publishing Company, to see if I liked it. And after about 6 months, I said, yeah, I really like this. So I basically got the person who was doing me a favor to take my teaching job for a year at Potsdam to stay, and my wife and I stayed in New York, and I took the job as a director of education for Alfred Publishing. It was interesting. My father-in-law is a very well-known composer, and he was very busy during that time, and that was when the Mexican government were having the Olympics there. And they had asked him to write the music for their trailer to go in the theaters, and he didn't have time. He asked me to do it, and I did it, and I wrote it on the weekend and recorded it on Monday and sent it to Mexico on Wednesday, and on Friday got a check that was bigger than my salary teaching at the college for a whole year. And I brought the check home, put it on the table, and looked at my wife and said, I have a feeling we may be doing something other than just teaching. And that's when I went into publishing. But the teacher in me never left, and that's why in my publishing career it's always been focused on education, even though I've done a lot with pop copyrights, running companies that way. My love has always been the educational side of it.